Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del challenges the status quo, questions everything, and empowers you to return to your core beliefs to make your life better. If you're ready to hear the truth and get your roadmap to the lifestyle you really want, the next hour will change your life. And now, your host, self-made millionaire, national award-winning investor of the year, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to Del Walmsley Radio Show. Today is Tell Del Tuesday, and we have a guest with us here today, someone that I've not known personally, so it's going to be interesting to me to hear his story. With us today is Jason Bartley out of Austin, Texas. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dale. Thanks for having me.
Jason, I'm looking here at your resume, and I've got 3 pages of purchases. Before you started here, did you have real estate prior to being here, or did you start up here?
Yeah. No, I had quite a few years experience prior to Lifestyles, so I did that typical route, go to school, get a job, and I realized that wasn't the path for me a few years into corporate America, and I got caught up on all those house flipping shows back in the day. So I said, hey, that's the route out. So I did one of those flips back in Southern California and came out with a little bit of money. But, I said I can't sustain that. I did everything wrong. Had all my friends, coming over, family doing the work. Made a little bit of money and said, I want to buy and hold the next one. So kind of looked all over the U.S., had a buddy that was in the market, and I said, hey, where's some good markets, can't do this in California, make good cash flow. So I said, check out Florida, Texas, Carolinas, Georgia was on there. And, found a house, actually a fourplex in Austin, Texas, and kind of ran some numbers and said, shoot, 30% returns, and mulled it over for a little bit and put it in an offer and had a fourplex purchase sight unseen. And that was really the start of it.
So you were living in California at the time?
Yeah. I was living out there, went to school out there. All the friends, families are out there. My grandma was actually born in Texas, so I'm the first one actually making a full circle. But after that first fourplex, I had some real bad third-party managers, fired 2 or 3 of them. That next year, we had enough cash flow from the fourplex where I actually bought a duplex in Austin. And then in 2007, I basically told my company if I was doing some global IT program management, I told them I was quitting, moving to Texas because I fell in love with it. I'm a Texan at heart.
Yeah, they say that if you weren't born here, you got here as quick as you could, is the way they explained it to me when I first came here. So there's no doubt. So, I can't even imagine how many different deals are sitting here in front of me. Were all these buy and flips, or are they all buy and holds? Or what did you do? I mean, these are tremendous number of duplexes, fourplexes, and some single families. I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So I basically, after that first fourplex, I couldn't believe it. They're little cash machines. They were easy to manage. Actually, when I moved out here in 2007 to Austin, Texas, now the nice house up on Lake Travis, and just kept buying and plugging them in. I started my own property management company at that time because I'm a control freak, and I want things done my way. Just, I want a good service, good rates, and good communication. And I don't know why it was so hard to get that from third party. So slowly just started buying, every year to have enough cash flow saved up for a down payment on a new one. And it became so easy where I just kept buying fourplexes, and that's really all that I knew. And then in 2008 to 2011, I kind of got sucked back into corporate America and escaped a few rounds of layoffs. And I was looking at my boss and my boss's boss, and I had a thought, I don't want this to be my life. So I kind of got heavy back into buying fourplexes again. 2013, I bought 2 of them. 2014, I bought 3 of them. 2015, I bought 4 of them. And then I said, I can't continue this. I mean, you got 50 utility bills, all these insurance statements, tax statements. It was just too much to manage. So I said, what's next? And the next logical progression is apartments. And I knew nothing about apartments. I heard cap rate terms, NOI terms. So I was looking up for, some training seminars, and I'm actually addicted to three things in life: iced tea, real estate, and podcasts. And I came across your Lifestyles podcast. So that's when I kind of found Lifestyles and started, binge listening to the podcast and joined Lifestyles to learn the apartment side of it.
How many total units were you managing at that point when you started looking into apartments?
So I was about 50 units spread across duplexes and fourplexes.
And you felt that was pretty uncomfortable to sustain as an owner-operator yourself?
Yeah. I just couldn't keep up that pace. There were small purchases. The amount of time it took to manage them and find them and close them, and you get those 10 Fannie Mae loans. You've got to go up to the bank loans at that point. So I maxed those out, and I just felt there had to be more. I couldn't continue that exponential growth with the small stuff.
Gotcha. So if you're sitting out there and you've got this modicum of success already, you're already pretty successful in doing this stuff, you realize you didn't understand multifamily. I actually went through that same phase myself. When I started doing multifamily, I said, I better learn how to do this. So I went to the apartment association because that's the only place I could go to get some help. But you realized it. When you first came to Lifestyles, what did you think? I mean, so many of these real estate programs and groups and whatever are a bunch of hooey-pooey. What did you think when you ran into us?
Yeah, good question. So I thought the same. I'm real, I don't believe a lot of stuff, and I've never joined up with any seminars or groups or real estate classes. So it actually took me a while. I mean, I was researching you guys for a good year. I went to a lot of free workshops. I talked to tons of people. Nobody had anything bad to say. It was all positive. So it took me a good year, to really feel comfortable before joining up. And then I actually had a buddy that joined up, and he was already getting into passive deals. And I said, shoot, he's passing me up. I got to do something. And I don't know if you remember, you used to offer, you had nice parties, big parties at your house, and you said on the radio, hey, first few people to call up, I'll invite you to my party. And that was 5 years ago or something. And that's a good point. I heard a lot about your parties, and and called up and joined up and went to one of your parties out there at your house. So that was the impetus to join up.
That's funny. That is. I mean, I never thought of my house as being a marketing tool, but I guess it was. We did have some good parties. So what did you think of the house when you came out?
Oh man, it was amazing. I brought my daughter out there. A lot of families, and that pool was amazing. She loved that pool, jumping off that cliff in your back over there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it was awesome. And the best part was the people. Just talking to big time leads that were really successful, and the amount of knowledge, and looking around saying, hey, everybody's just like me. It's normal, good people. I think I found my people once I joined up. Not politically correct, and love the lifestyle, love having fun, family people. It was great.
That's interesting, Jason, because that's exactly what this group is, and they all feel the same way about each other. It's a collection of misfits. We don't fit in with the rest of the world, so we created our own little world, right? And
yes, sir.
I think that's what Lynn calls them. It's a collection of broken misfits, that all got together. So you decided to take the class. What did you think when you took the 2-day? Because, I'm asking this because you're the kind of person that I am who is going to try to want to figure it out on his own. You always want to figure it out on your own. You're always going to go do it on your own. You're going to try it. You're going to test it, stick your toe in it, work on it, think it through, and then move forward. But at some point, we end up trying to find the people that know what we don't know, right? So what did you think when you came to the 2-day?
Yeah, that's right. I had some other guys say that I'm a mentality. I did everything. I wanted to learn the business, so I swung the hammer. I was managing all the properties before I hired somebody. I was getting those late night toilet calls, and then once I went to the 2-day, and the first day, I kind of checked out. It's like, yeah, all this stuff sounds familiar. I know this stuff. When's the good stuff start? And that next day, I kind of learned about apartments, and what struck me is I actually took the class with David Fisher, and I love that guy. You know, he's not politically correct, and kind of asked me what I was doing and said, you know, why are you here? And he said, what are you doing, dummy? You got all this equity and all these
All right,
properties.
Jason, hold that story. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back with Jason Bartley and the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Jason Bartley out of Austin, Texas. Jason has done numerous deals, starting with duplexes, fourplexes, single families, and then finally decided he wanted to go into apartments and came to Houston, took the 2-day, and as we were going to break, he was starting to share a story that he had with David Fisher. Jason, pick it back up. Sorry, I had to cut you off, but they took us to break there.
Yeah, no problem. So I love David Fisher. I took the class out in San Antonio, and I learned to never judge after that. And I kind of said, who's this guy up here with, you know, a Tupac or Biggie Small shirt on, you know? And he started, you know, giving the whole spiel about apartments, and he took me to the side and kind of learned about my portfolio. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, you know, I'm paying off all my properties. You know, I actually moved a lot of them to 15-year notes. And he said, I mean, you shouldn't do that. You need to be cashing those properties out and selling them and moving bigger. So I fought him for I don't know how long. I said, you know, it doesn't make sense. You know, why would I take a lower return and do that? So he had me calculate, and I think this may have came from you, my return on net worth. And once I did that, I kind of understood a little bit. I just had all that lazy debt equity there, not doing anything. And eventually I came around. So what I did is I sold my first property I lived in Southern California, out in Aliso Viejo. And I actually 1031'd that into 3 properties totaling 30 units. So basically what took me 15 years to build up, that 50 units, after joining, that very next year, David forced me to get out of my comfort zone, and I basically doubled the portfolio within that first year. It was amazing. So that was a big takeaway.
Wow, that's interesting. That I did come up with that, and I think it is one of the most interesting calculations there is out there. I mean, everybody talks about, well, I've got to make a lot of money in this, and I made a lot of money in that. And you go, okay, you made a lot of money in these little teeny parts of your net worth, but take everything. Take what are you doing with your whole net worth? And when you calculate your return on net worth, it's amazing. Most people don't make over a 1/10%. A good number is 2 or 3%, and almost nobody makes 5 or 6 or 7% on net worth. If they did, if you made 10% on net worth, you'd be unbelievably rich. I'm looking at your percentage of rates of return, and I'm just going to read these. I'm going down the line: 257% capital gain, 30K capital gain, 566% capital gain, 22% cash on cash, 487% capital gain, 23% cash on cash, 37%. I mean, these are great numbers. And I understand from coming out of single family houses where I had the same kind of returns that were just incredible returns. It's hard to jump down, especially in nowadays when you're looking at, 5 cap rates and 4 cap rates and so forth. But even then when they were 10 cap rates when I started, 7 or 8 when maybe you started 5 or 6 years ago, it is tough to mentally see that it's as important to make a lot more money than it is to make a lot higher percentage rate of return. Is that pretty much what you were trying to say?
That's exactly right, Dale. And it took me a long time to get there. I just could not bridge that gap. Why in the heck would I take, a 10% return or an 8% cash on cash return when I'm doing 20, 30%? I just couldn't get there. But, in doing that, the total dollars returned were a lot more, even though the cash on cash was lower. So it took me a while. I'm a slow learner, but he finally pushed me. So he was a great mentor and finally got me there.
That's good. The way I finally got over it, Jason, is I figured out how much money I was making per hour spent on what I was doing. And when you do that, you can see that the single family is way better than your job. a duplex and a fourplex is better than a single family, probably even. Because like you said, you're paying, well, I guess in a fourplex, you still got 4 different utility bills if you're paying the utilities, but you got, 1 tax bill instead of 4 tax bills to pay and so on and so forth. So the economics of scale starts to pay up. But when you get to small apartment complexes and you're taking care of 20 or 30 units with 1 phone call, or 60 and 80 and 1 phone call a day, it's totally different. So let's talk about, you came out of there and you bought these 30 units the next year. What kind of deals were they?
So they were same thing, single families, duplexes, a lot of fourplexes, but I started getting to the small multis at that point. So I got a 6 unit, an 8 unit, and a 16 unit as part of that 30 unit total 1031 that I did.
Mm-hmm. And what did you think of those when you started with that stuff?
It was interesting. So that's when I did all the training, learned about NOI, learned about cap rates, and the kicker for me was I didn't have to wait on that market appreciation. I could force that appreciation with NOI. So that was a big piece of it that I loved. It's all about improving operations, and I thought I was pretty good. My team was pretty good. We could do a lot better than these third-party guys. And that was, I was off to the races with small multis at that time.
It's really interesting because when I first moved up from where you were at in the single-family type stuff, and I own duplexes and fourplexes also. In fact, I actually own 15 duplexes in the same street. So it was like I own the street. Useless piece of information. But the bottom line was, when I moved up, I didn't have anybody mentoring me and teaching me the stuff that, we teach at the classes. And so I just thought you buy apartments for the same reason you buy a house. You buy them and hold on to them and try to pay them off. I had the same backward belief system as to what I was doing until somebody joined up to Lifestyles and said, and this guy was Arthur Anderson guru, genius dude. And he said, nah. We move the cap rate, we sell the building, or we refinance the money out tax-free. And when that hit me, it changed everything for me, for Lifestyles, for everybody I was teaching, and for you to come in and get to see that this is what we're really doing. We're really moving that cap rate around. We're moving the value around purposely, as opposed to just buying it, paying it off, and letting it cash flow. That's a major change. So let's go from there. Once you got the taste of that, what were your next thoughts and what were your next moves?
So at that time, I wanted to learn. So David's a great mentor. He was pushing me to keep growing, getting out of my comfort zone. And he said, you got some experience. You need to become a lead. So before I thought about ever taking anyone else's money, I take that very serious. I joined up as a passive in a deal to kind of see how all that works. And that was in 2016. So I did that. I saw how the reporting was. I saw how, they came in and rehabbed and operations, visited the property, and then joined up with a couple more passive deals. And then at that point, in 2018, I bought a 77 unit as a lead in San Antonio, and Austin was increasing so crazy during those years. I started reallocating a lot of the capital in Austin to San Antonio because it was more of a slow, steady turtle rather than the big spikes that we see out here. So next steps were, passive and then getting into a 77 unit lead deal.
So is that the Hamilton place?
Yes.
Well, we got to take a break. We'll come back. I'm going to go into what it was like being a lead because that is a different step. We'll be right back. Del Walmsley Radio Show. Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Jason Barley out of Austin, Texas. Jason has done everything under the sun, and we've come through his story so far of him doing single families, duplexes, fourplexes, lots of all those, then moving to small apartment complexes, and then finally deciding that he needed to try out being a lead. Jason, totally different thing being a lead. How did you feel about it?
I was nervous, real nervous at first, because I took having partners a lot more serious than my own stuff. So it was a hard thing to overcome, knowing I was responsible for others, other people's retirement. So it was tough, but I got into it and took it serious, and it was a fun experience. And Teresa Harrell, she's an amazing, operations consultant. She had my back, and any questions I had, tons of friends in the industry out there that I called all the time for help, and it was a great experience.
Well, looking at your resume from this point on, it looks like that was I'm not seeing any more sponsors on here. I see it's partner. Oh, there's a KP sponsor, another deal. So how many deals did you end up being a lead in? Just one or two, or how many?
So I got 4, so it's a 77 unit, and then in 2020 I did 130 unit and 152 unit, and then September last year in San Antonio I actually did 165 units. So I got 4 of them now.
Wow. So you did overcome, and it really is. There is a massive amount of fear. I felt the same thing. I mean, there's people out there that don't have scruples, that don't have integrity, and they don't worry about taking people's money. They figure, it's their money. Who cares? I'm not going to lose mine. I'm going to lose their money. But for me, same thing that you felt. It's scary as heck, and you work a lot harder trying to manage other people's money than you do your own. I see, though, that you did a lot of passive deals also during that time. Share with us your thought process as to why you'd want to do both passive and lead deals.
It's basically, I kind of wanted to learn at first, so I joined up passive, but I think for the lifestyle or the quality of life, I saw some of like a John Fry, kind of look up to him, and he's retired on passive income, and I think my end goal is that, and this is a little outdated, but I'm in 30 passive deals now, about 5,000 units, and David again pushed me to start cashing out a lot of that equity, and I've been going real heavy into passive deals. The lead, I love it. It's a job. I've got a good company, a good staff, good team right now, but it's a job. But I'm 45. I just turned 45, and I think the season of the next 5 years of my life is to get more into the passive. And if an opportunity comes along, I may jump on it as a lead. But I think I got a good thing going right now, and I like both, but I like the passive a bit more at this point in my life.
Once you ever start getting money in the mail, man, and you don't have to do anything, it's really hard to go back. There's no doubt.
Yes, sir.
At some point. As you move along here, you're changing the quality of your life by not doing as much work and moving more towards passive. What is your thought as to giving it all up at some point and just being totally passive? Do you think that'll ever happen or not?
I think so. If I got an income number that I want to hit, if I have the network to get there, I think so, but I get bored real easy. So I don't know at this point. I think I may still be a lead, maybe IRO, my own larger with no partners. I'm still trying to figure that out, what the next steps are.
Well, I can share this with you, just being 20 years older than you are. It gets to the point where you have more money than you have time. And you want to buy that time back. And being a lead gives you massive leverage. You can make a lot more money per time spent on something. But buying your own deal, especially once you're at the point where you're large enough to have your own management company, where you don't actually operate anything, you got somebody else doing it for you. Owning your own deal, you don't want to give away any of it. I get people all the time, can I get into your deal? I go, no, my money is fighting for its own spot in deals right now. So, no, you can't get in deals. And I don't mean that meaning like it sounded right. It comes off that the bottom line is I have enough money that I don't want to own 25% of 10 properties. I want to own, 100% of 4. If that makes sense.
That makes complete sense.
It's a lot easier to deal with in my life and so forth. What about your family and friends as you went through this? Anything interesting? Any interesting stories about family or friends as you went through this?
You got the naysayers, family, they don't understand, and they just know the stocks. And, I invested in stocks from when I was 18 to 25, and saw what that did. And then the first few years into real estate, I blew that out of the water. So I'm slowly converting some of my friends and family, but I've got a lot of friends that joined up. So, I mean, we have, get-togethers all the time. But my main thing right now is, family. It's like you say, not the money, it's the lifestyle. So my goal is to spend, as much quality time with my daughter. Got an amazing 11-year-old daughter. We take trips all over, take her hiking. Parents just moved to my neighborhood from California, so they got out of that bad, tax environment. So it's all about, quality of life now. And I'm at the point where I'm, ready to start giving back and just, improving my life. There's more to all this real estate. So that's kind of where I'm looking now.
Being, and I'm going to use this word very lightly. It's not being pointed at you or anything. It's just as more of a loner, as a self-starter type of person that you are. Did you find it interesting at all how people were so open about their finances when you came to Lifestyles?
Oh, yeah, that was amazing. Corporate America, no one talked about that. You weren't allowed to talk about how much of a, measly 3% pay raise or small bonus you got every year. Didn't know what your boss made. You'd get in trouble if you talk to coworkers, and then you talk to, I got friends in Austin, they were showing me their financials and telling me how much they made. And I said, son of a gun, you're just a regular guy. How can you be doing that? So that's what helped me. I actually got laid off from corporate America in 2016. And that kind of forced me not to look for another corporate job and just focus on this full time, because I knew it was possible. I saw other members doing it, and that was a really good motivator and helped me out. But yeah, we are loners. I love our crew though.
Yeah, no doubt. Some people, the old joke, this is a long time ago, the old joke was, we don't know if we're a real estate group with a preference towards drinking or a drinking group with a preference towards real estate. We couldn't figure out what it was. But the bottom line was I always joked that because I retired at 34 years of age, I had nothing to do because everybody else was working. So I started this group just to retire some other people to have somebody to play with. So it has that feel to it, that we're all here just because we need people like ourselves that are out there and we're retired and have the time to take the trips, because, people don't have the time to go 3, 4, 5 trips a year. They just can't take off that much. So you got to have some friends that got that ability. Daughter's 11. Where's she at psychologically? And are you teaching her anything financially differently than what you were taught when you were growing up?
Yeah, we have lunchtime during summer, lunchtime real estate class. She loves numbers. I take her to the properties. I had her collecting coins from the laundry machines. And one thing that really ticks her off is she sees any trash on the properties or cigarette butts. Dad, oh my goodness, look at these people are disgusting. So she'll pick up trash, and I'm slowly teaching her, not forcing her, but we'll see what she wants to be when she grows up. Right now it's a veterinarian, but slowly planting the seed. She loves learning, so that's good. We'll see where it goes with her.
It's funny. A lot of kids have that goal of being a veterinarian. I guess it's because their love of animals is what it starts out as.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love some of the members where you're seeing legacy with their kids now leading deals. And, that would be a dream of mine if that happens. But that's awesome to see where the kids are in the business and it's a family business.
Yeah, I just got invested with a 20-year-old kid yesterday. He put together his first deal, and I said, hey, I got to be a part of it. I like investing with the kids myself. I think they're really aggressive. They're really motivated, and they listen. So if they get in trouble, they'll listen to somebody. Whereas the older people yeah, don't tell me what to do type of thing. So I like it. It's good. So I was thinking about starting something where I try to find young kids, but I find that whenever I try to press something, it's not as genuine as when it just works. So I think the parents working with the kids until the kids hit that point where they want something is probably the best way.
Now more intel to build a better lifestyle from Del Walmsley.
First choice is to try to mature, to grow up, and to get away from being dependent is to become independent, in which case you have control of your own financial situation, both your cash flow and your asset base. You need to do that. Now, the problem with most people is they can't do something like that in large chunks because they don't have enough money. So you start out like I did. You buy one rent house. This is the key. You got to start. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You've got to go buy one rent house. Now you're $500 a month freer than you were before you had that rent house. Buy two. Now you're $1,000 a month freer than what you were, until you get up to where you have about $10,000 in income, and then you can quit your job. Then you're totally free, and then you can go out there and buy apartment complexes because you have the time to operate them. If you've got more money when you're starting, then you can just go start with an apartment complex and buy in. And if you don't know how to operate it, take the classes, you learn how to do it, but then you also hire someone else to do it for you that already has the skill set, and you can move quicker. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Jason Bartley and the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Jason Bartley out of Austin, Texas. Jason has over 5,000 units and many, many more that he's already sold off. So he's got quite the portfolio. As we went to break, we were discussing, where he is at. You're successful. You've got over 5,000 units, you said. What's your plan for right now?
So, Del, the plan is just to continually, and improve operations on my lead deals. Deliver to pro forma. That's the main focus right now, and then keep networking, keep getting in passive deals, keep cash out refinancing and selling properties with a lot of debt equity, as David taught me, and then we'll see where it takes it from there. I think I need to get more. I'm a big traveler. My goal is to see the 7 wonders of the world, and I have 5 done. And then COVID hit, so I need to get back there and knock Egypt, pyramids, and Petra off the list. So that's going to be coming up hopefully pretty soon, and just keep living life, keep experiencing and hanging out with my real estate friends, and keep living.
Looking back at a long career in this now, since you started way back here, let's see, 1991 looks like your first deal. Somebody new just listening in right now, what would you say to them as far as where you could have done it better? What do you, as you look back now, hindsight's 2020, what should you have done differently, or would you have done differently?
Yeah, I don't like living with regrets. I was a Dave Ramsey guy. I was a Dave Ramsey disciple. That's where I started paying off everything, and then I graduated from that to lifestyles. And if I had to do it over again, of course, everybody says they'd start sooner, and I would have moved to multifamily a lot sooner. I think that's the 2 main things there, because you saw, what happened after that first year I joined. I basically doubled what I accomplished in 15 years in 1 year.
It's a very good point. I would like to ask you, I'm not asking you to trash Dave Ramsey, but tell people out there, what is the difference in the theory between Dave Ramsey and Lifestyles Unlimited, and how do you see the 2 fitting together?
Right. I don't think there's anything bad about Dave Ramsey. I think he's great for certain people that need it, that can't really manage money and learn how to, create budgets. But to build wealth, he doesn't really teach you that. Paying off debt does not build wealth. Taking that equity, as you all taught me, and then moving it into bigger deals and calculate your return on net worth, that's what builds wealth. That's what gets you out of corporate America. That's what creates the freedom. So I think he's good for certain people, but eventually, if you have things that you want to do in life and goals, you need to graduate and kind of look more into investing and not paying off the debt, which is not what I was taught growing up. So I'm glad I learned it.
So if you got somebody listening to the radio right now and they're just like you and I, we're skeptics, what would you say to them? How do they overcome that skepticism? What do you think would be the best way for them to overcome that?
Well, for me personally, I don't think we can tell anybody to take action. For me, it was an negative event, in my life, and getting laid off from corporate America and seeing that path is not what I wanted. So I think unless you have some pain and you want to make a change, that's what it took for me. So if you want to change your life, you can. The tools are there. You just need to take that action. There's a whole different, ball game out there rather than work at corporate America and investing in stocks, and hopefully, like you say, your money, doesn't run out by the time you die. And it's good seeing there's normal people like me. I'm definitely not the smartest guy, but there's people that are doing it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one too. Bring up not the smartest guy. You don't have to be the smartest guy, the sharpest knife in the drawer, do you?
No, I'm definitely not. Hard worker, that's for sure. Definitely not the smartest, but if you see, somebody that's like you can doing it, or somebody that may not be as smart or aggressive as you, and say, hey, if this guy's doing it, I can do it.
Yeah, especially if you got someone showing you the way to do it, right? I think that's key.
That's right.
If you can get in front of it, know what you're doing before you do it, instead of not trying to fail your way to success like so many gurus tell you. Get out there and just try, and fail. Yeah, you'll eventually figure out what doesn't work, but that doesn't mean you'll ever figure out how it really does work. And I see that all the time.
Yeah, and I'm actually going out. Can't wait. Case study in Austin, finally, after a couple of years. So right after this afternoon, I'm going out, hanging out with all my friends, and it's going to be good to see everybody in person.
It was incredible. First case study we had back in Houston. I felt so alive again. Hey, you live on Lake Travis? Yeah,
right on Lake Travis. Right about Mansfield Dam.
Do you know where that big restaurant is there on the cliff of Lake Travis?
I'm looking at it out my window. It's across the lake from me.
Yeah, what's that called? Oasis, okay. If you sit in the Oasis looking at the lake and then look to your right, there's a big house that sits outside of a cliff. Mm-hmm. It's 20,000 square feet or something like that. I almost bought that thing. I looked at it 5 times.
No kidding. That's the owner of Fiesta Supermarket.
Right, exactly.
Amazing.
Finally sold. After 3 years of me looking at it, wanting it finally sold to somebody else. And so I would have been your neighbor. That's where I wanted to live.
Man.
The view is incredible from up there. But my wife didn't like it. She didn't like it. She said that it was pure ornate. Everything was ornate. She just didn't like that. So I would have been your neighbor, buddy.
Well,
it is beautiful.
There's more houses out here.
Yeah, not like that one, though, man. Sitting out the side of the cliff like that was unbelievable. It really was. Plus, you owned 8 acres of the side of the cliff and into the lake, which was hard to believe. Free water, everything, because, you own part of the lake. It was a different deal. She had some money, some bucks, but that's beautiful.
We were right below it, wake surfing yesterday, looking up at that exact home. That's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for coming on, sharing your story. I want to thank you for being a lead investor and coming on here and telling people what you've done, sharing it openly and so forth. For the rest of you out there, remember this. Jason, myself, and everybody here at Live Sales, we don't do this to make a little money. We do this for an incredible lifestyle.
Now, from the files of Del Walmsley.
People go, well, I really never like to retire. And the truth of the matter is that you probably would like to retire. Is that really going to happen anymore? Now you take the far other extreme. By the time I was 34 years of age, I had accumulated enough real estate passive income to replace my earned income, and I retired. When I say retired, what I'm really saying is I dropped out of corporate America. Didn't want to go back. Actually, never did go back. Never have gone back, got another job. Do you see these two things as the same thing? That's an interesting concept because every year since I've quote unquote retired, I've made more money. Why? Because each year I buy a little bit more real estate, and that little bit more real estate makes me a little bit more money, or I buy another business, or I start another business, and that business makes me a little more money. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station, its affiliates, its management, or advertisers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.